It started with a whisper, a faint, crackling voice drifting across the radio waves. All officers, including the captain, dead, lying in chart room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead. Then silence. And just when the static seemed endless, another fragment broke through. I die. No one knew who sent it, but the signal was traced. A ship out in the middle of the Strait of Malacca, floating aimlessly. No reply, no movement, no sound. Its name, Ourang Medan, a name that would become one of the darkest mysteries in maritime history. You're about to enter the world of ghost ships, deadly secrets, and chilling silence. This isn't just a sea tale. It's a case that continues to baffle historians, terrify skeptics, and fuel conspiracy theories to this day. A crew found dead with no visible wounds, eyes wide open in fear, bodies twisted, as if something invisible had passed through the ship and stolen their last breath. What could have caused this? Poison? A weapon? A force beyond our understanding? Or did the ship ever even exist at all? Tonight, we dive into the chilling legend of the Ourang Medan, a vessel lost to the waves and swallowed by questions that no one has ever answered. We'll explore what was found, we'll question what was hidden, and we'll search for the truth beneath layers of silence, suspicion, and smoke. But be warned, this is not just a story of a ghost ship. This is a story of vanishing evidence, of forces unseen, and of the ocean's ability to keep its darkest secrets buried deep. Welcome to the mystery of Ourang Medan. The message had been received, and the coordinates confirmed. The nearest ship to respond was the Silver Star, a cargo vessel navigating through calm waters under an overcast sky. Its crew didn't waste a second. A distress call like that, mysterious, desperate, and incomplete, demanded urgent action. They changed course, heading directly to the location where the unknown ship had last been heard from. Hours passed. The sky darkened. Then, just beyond the veil of morning mist, there it was, a vessel drifting quietly. No lights, no movement. Its name barely visible through rust and grime. Ourang Medan. No signs of damage, no signs of life. It didn't look abandoned. It looked paused, frozen in a moment of dread. The Silver Star circled slowly. They hailed the vessel. Ourang Medan, do you copy? Silence. No Morse reply. No hand signals. No voices. The sea itself seemed to hush, as if holding its breath. After several unanswered attempts, the decision was made. They would board. The boarding team climbed over the railing of the Ourang Medan with caution. Weapons weren't drawn, but their eyes were sharp. Something didn't feel right. The moment their boots touched the deck, they knew. This wasn't just a silent ship. It was a dead one. Scattered across the upper deck were bodies, frozen, stiff, their limbs twisted unnaturally, fingers clawing at the air, their eyes wide open, staring into nothing, locked in terror. The crew of the Silver Star moved carefully. One body, then another, and another. No sign of struggle, no wounds, no blood, only expressions of unbearable fear. Inside the bridge, the captain of the Ourang Medan lay slumped over the controls, mouth open as if he had screamed his last command into the void. In the chart room, the officers, dead, still seated at their stations. Then, the radio room. There he was, the operator who had sent the distress call, still in his seat, his cold, dead fingers resting just above the telegraph key, his eyes open, his face twisted in sheer horror, frozen in whatever terror had stolen his final breath. There was no sign of violence, no signs of illness, but something had clearly happened, something that had struck with no warning and left no survivors. Even the ship's animals, dogs kept aboard for security, were dead. Their bodies curled in unnatural poses. Not a sound, not a stir. What could do this? What force could wipe out an entire crew so completely, so silently? The air on board the Ourang Medan was heavy, not just with the stench of death, but with something else, a pressure, a presence. Like the very walls of the ship were watching. Several of the boarding team later described feeling intense dread. Not fear, dread, as if something was still there, lurking, waiting. And yet, no living thing remained. The rescue team gathered what little they could observe and began preparing to tow the ship. But even that would not go as planned. What killed the crew? Why were there no marks? Why did their faces tell a story of pure, unfiltered terror? The Ourang Medan had more secrets to reveal. And the strangest part was yet to come. Because this ghost ship was far from done. The Silver Star's crew had seen death before. They had weathered storms, lost men to the sea, and known the grim reality of ocean travel. But what they found aboard the Ourang Medan was different. This wasn't death by nature, or war, or disease. This felt unnatural. At first, it was just a feeling, the oppressive stillness in the air, the cold that seemed to follow them as they explored the ship. Not just a chill, but a sharp, unnatural cold that didn't make sense. Outside, the temperature was scorching, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet inside the Ourang Medan, the air felt icy, like walking into a freezer sealed in metal. No explanation, no mechanical systems running, just cold, dead cold. Some of the rescuers claimed their breath misted. Others said their fingers felt numb as they gripped metal rails. And then, the bodies. They weren't just dead. They were wrong. No wounds, no blood, no signs of struggle. But their faces told a different story. Every crew member, every officer, even the dogs, had died with the same expression, eyes bulging, mouths contorted, jaws frozen mid-scream. It was as if they had all seen something beyond comprehension, something so terrifying it froze their bodies in their final moment of horror. The team examining the bodies made another disturbing discovery. The corpses were decaying, but faster than normal, much faster. Some appeared to have been dead for days. Others looked like they had been left in the sun for weeks, even though it had only been a few hours since the radio message. The timeline didn't add up. Worse still, no insects, no flies, no seagulls circling above, not even rats. It was as if nature itself refused to touch the Ourang Medan. As the investigators moved deeper below deck, the darkness thickened. The cold grew worse. The air felt heavier. One crewman later claimed he heard faint whispers echoing through the pipes, voices that weren't there. Another said the metal walls seemed to breathe. Of course, the official logs say nothing about these stories. Their whispers passed between surviving crew, those who never quite slept the same again. Then came the final mystery. In the engine room, something strange was found. The machinery had been stopped, but not shut down. It was as if everything had just powered off, like someone flipped a switch all at once. The boilers were cool, but not cold. There was no fire damage, no fuel leak, no carbon monoxide, nothing that could explain a full ship fatality event. And yet, the engine had died, just like the crew. The ship, it seemed, had simply ceased to live. Sound builds, a quiet vibration, almost a pulse. The Silver Star officers made a unanimous decision. The Ourang Medan had to be towed in, studied, investigated. It might hold answers, or evidence, or clues to something humanity wasn't meant to understand. They secured the tow line, slowly pulling the ghost ship behind them. That's when the final horror revealed itself. Smoke began to rise from the hull of the Ourang Medan. First faint, then thick, black, choking. It spilled from the seams of the ship like something alive, escaping, running, lashing out. Alarms sounded. The boarding team was rushed back to the Silver Star. The tow cable was cut. Within minutes, flames burst from within the Ourang Medan's lower decks. And then, a massive explosion. The ship tore itself apart. Wood, steel, screams from the past, all gone in a blinding flash. The sea swallowed what remained. And just like that, the Ourang Medan disappeared beneath the waves. Forever. Not a trace would remain. No debris, no logbooks, no bodies. Only the story and the fear. What force could have done this? Was it a weapon? A curse? Or was the Ourang Medan hiding something? Something not meant for human eyes? As the world tried to make sense of the impossible, theories began to swirl. Not just of death and fire, but of secrets, buried deep beneath the surface of both sea and truth. In the next chapter, we confront the wildest possibilities. Weapons, conspiracies, alien contact? Because from here on out, the Ourang Medan enters the world of the unexplainable. It vanished. Just like that. The Ourang Medan, a ship full of secrets, erupted into flames and was gone. No time to search for records, no chance to examine evidence, no hope of finding a survivor. What remained was smoke, silence, and a storm of questions. The Silver Star's crew stood in shock. A vessel they had just boarded, just towed, just touched, obliterated before their eyes. The sea closed over it as if to say, "You've seen too much." But the timing. The explosion came just moments after the boarding party detached the tow line. Coincidence? Or was something trying to ensure the ship would never be recovered? Was this spontaneous combustion from unknown chemicals? Or was it something far more deliberate? Theories began to emerge, quickly and quietly. Some crew members whispered that the ship had been rigged, booby-trapped from the inside. A timed charge, a self-destruct. Why? Because someone didn't want the world to know what was really on board. What was the Ourang Medan carrying? Some believe it was transporting illegal cargo, nerve agents, chemical weapons, or even radioactive material, part of a secret military experiment gone wrong. Others suggest it was a Cold War-era operation disguised as a freighter, hiding sensitive technology or data. And when things went sideways, someone hit the fail-safe. But there's a deeper layer, a stranger, darker possibility. What if the ship wasn't just destroyed? What if it was erased? Let's talk about the records. There are no official maritime documents confirming the existence of the Ourang Medan in Lloyd's shipping registry, the global database of all sea vessels at the time. No confirmed registration, no known port of origin, no listed cargo, no official crew manifest. Almost as if the ship had never existed. But too many reports, too many eyewitnesses say otherwise. The Silver Star's logs briefly mention the incident, but only in vague terms. Some pages are said to have been redacted or mysteriously lost. And when journalists later tried to follow up with members of the rescue crew, most of them declined to comment. Some disappeared from public life altogether. And then, the silence. Governments made no statements. Naval archives closed their doors. The Ourang Medan, like so many things that dwell in the shadows of world history, was quietly swept under the rug. But why would such effort be made to erase a ship that, according to some, was just a legend? Why would official agencies bury an event that supposedly never happened? Unless they knew something the rest of us weren't meant to know. In the years that followed, rumors multiplied. Some said the ship had been part of a covert operation involving experimental gases, chemicals capable of causing hallucinations, panic, and death in confined spaces. A test gone wrong? Others claimed the ship had uncovered something it shouldn't have. A cursed artifact, ancient and powerful, pulled from a sunken ruin or remote island. And there are even those who insist the Ourang Medan made contact with something not of this earth. Could that explain the fear frozen into every face? The silence before the storm? The explosion that ended it all? Or was it simply a story, crafted to cover up human failure? Because here's the most terrifying part. What if this wasn't the first time? What if ships like the Ourang Medan have vanished before and since? Silenced, erased, forgotten, lost in the deep. In the next chapter, we'll peel back the veil of theory and dive into the wild, controversial, and sometimes terrifying explanations put forward over the years. From biological horror to alien interference, the Ourang Medan is no longer just a story. It's a puzzle, one where every piece points to a truth we might not be ready to face. The Ourang Medan is gone. No wreckage, no survivors, no proof. And yet, the legend refuses to die, because the questions it left behind are too strange, too terrifying, to ignore. In this chapter, we pull apart the veil and look into the dark, twisted theories that have followed this ghost ship for over 70 years. Some are grounded in cold, military logic. Others, they defy everything we think we know about life and death. Let's begin with the most human theory. Theory 1, a deadly chemical secret. The first, and perhaps most logical theory, is that the Ourang Medan was carrying something dangerous. Not cargo, but a weapon. Some researchers believe the ship was transporting hazardous chemicals, possibly nitroglycerin, cyanide, or a new type of nerve agent. Substances used in war, kept secret, shipped illegally. It could explain the terrified expressions, the lack of visible injuries, the fast decomposition, even the cold. Some gases, especially those related to chemical warfare, can create a cryogenic effect in sealed spaces, pulling heat from the air and freezing human blood flow in seconds. One misstep, one leak, one cracked valve, and the entire crew would die. Eyes open, lungs frozen, mid-scream. But if that's the truth, who was moving this chemical, and why destroy the evidence? Theory 2, the CIA cover-up. This theory has more shadows than answers. According to some unofficial reports, U.S. intelligence had tracked the Ourang Medan before its final voyage. They believed it was part of a clandestine operation, possibly linked to the remnants of World War II. Rogue scientists smuggling biological material across Asia. Some say the ship had been modified, shielded, its logs altered. When things went wrong, the operation was compromised. And the explosion, a controlled detonation, to erase everything. Some whistleblowers even claim the Silver Star was never meant to rescue anyone, but to observe. It's speculative. But in the Cold War era, not impossible. Documents connected to the case, sealed, witnesses, unavailable. Truth, redacted. Theory 3, the curse. Some say the Ourang Medan wasn't carrying weapons, but something cursed. A stolen idol, a coffin sealed with ancient markings, or an artifact retrieved from a sunken temple deep in the Java Sea. A few researchers link the ship to a shadowy expedition that passed through Borneo months earlier, an archaeological dig that supposedly uncovered objects the locals refused to touch. items said to be protected by the sea gods. Did the Ourang Medan smuggle one of these relics aboard? If so, perhaps something followed them, or worse, awoke. The unnatural cold, the mass terror, the sudden death. All echo ancient seafaring legends from Indonesia to Micronesia. Ghosts that haunt the waves, guardians of forbidden knowledge, entities that don't just kill, but erase. Theory 4. Extraterrestrial encounter. Yes, you heard that right. Some believe the Ourang Medan was not attacked, but visited. Strange lights were reportedly seen over the Strait of Malacca during the night of the distress call, and some surviving fragments of unofficial radio logs, unverified of course, refer to strange interference and unidentified aerial phenomena in the area. Could the crew have witnessed something? An object descending from the sky? A breach of dimensional space? Alien encounters are often associated with freezing temperatures, loss of time, and radiation-like symptoms. All things reported around the Ourang Medan. One theory goes even further, that the crew made contact with a non-human intelligence, and the terror on their faces was their final moment of understanding. Theory 5. It never existed. And finally, the most controversial theory of all. What if the Ourang Medan was never real? No registration, no photographic proof, no confirmed wreck, no surviving logs. Some say it was a mariner's myth, stitched together from fragments of old sea tales, wartime rumors, and newspaper exaggerations. A ghost story to warn sailors of the deep. Others believe it was a psychological operation, a false story created to distract from real events, or to test media response to paranormal reports. But even if that's true, it doesn't explain the eyewitness accounts, the coordinates, the explosion, and those chilling last words. I die. In the end, no theory fully explains what happened to the Ourang Medan. Every possibility leads deeper into shadow. And maybe that's the point. Because sometimes the ocean doesn't just hide the truth. Sometimes it protects it. And we're not supposed to find it. In our final chapter, we ask the ultimate question: did the Ourang Medan ever truly exist? And if so, why has it been erased? A ghost ship, a crew dead without a mark, an explosion that erased everything, and a name that echoes through maritime history like a whisper carried by the wind. Ourang Medan. But now comes the hardest question of all. Did it ever exist? The puzzle of lost records. Search any official maritime database and you'll find nothing. No registered vessel by the name Ourang Medan, no captain listed, no crew, no cargo logs. Even the Silver Star, the ship said to have responded, shows only incomplete entries in some logs, with pages missing from the exact dates of the alleged event. If this was real, then why do the paper trails vanish? Was it incompetence? A clerical error? Or deliberate erasure? Some believe the ship operated under a false identity, a smuggler or covert military freighter sailing under a phantom name. Not uncommon in the years following World War II, when wartime cover-ups still rippled through the seas. Others believe it was simply a myth, a tale crafted from fragments of real tragedies, stitched together, passed around sailor bars and dockside newspapers, growing more terrifying with each telling. A ghost ship without a past. But here's the twist: the eyewitness web. Despite the lack of records, too many accounts exist to be dismissed outright. Multiple reports from sailors, mentions in newspapers as early as 1948, letters, logbooks, and unverified Morse code transcriptions referencing the strange last message. All officers dead. I die. Even if those documents are unreliable, they're consistent. From Indonesia to Germany, From the US to the Netherlands, fragments of this story appear, scattered like pieces of a puzzle soaked by seawater. What kind of hoax survives for over 7 decades? What kind of lie refuses to die? The ocean keeps its secrets. Here's what we know for sure. The ocean is vast, cruel, unforgiving, and it does not give up its dead easily. Countless ships have vanished without a trace, swallowed by storms, sabotage, or silence. And sometimes, the sea doesn't just bury bodies, it buries truth. If the Ourang Medan was real, then somewhere out there, deep beneath layers of salt, pressure, and time, it waits, corroded, forgotten, but still watching. And if it was never real, why does it haunt us? Final reflection. Perhaps that's the true power of the Ourang Medan, not the ship itself, but the fear it awakens, the fear of the unknown, the fear of death without reason, the fear that some things are meant to stay hidden, and that something, or someone, is making sure they remain that way. So now, the mystery is yours. Do you believe the Ourang Medan was real? Was it a cursed voyage, a secret weapon, an alien encounter, or just a sailor's story that got out of hand? Tell us what you think in the comments. Have you heard similar stories from your region? Do you know other unexplained maritime legends? If you found this story chilling, haunting, or thought-provoking, make sure to like this video to help it reach more truth seekers. Subscribe for more mysterious documentaries, ghost ship stories, and real-world horror. And share this video with someone who loves mysteries that the ocean refuses to explain. Because out there, beneath the waves, the Ourang Medan may still be waiting. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon and your ears on the whispers in the static.